Lagos, the city of aquatic splendor, is also known as the nucleus of economic activities and model of infrastructural development in Nigeria. The city's continuous progress has been attributed to visionary and clairvoyant leadership over the years. Welcome to Inside Lagos. I'm Adedoja Salam Adeniyi. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has described the late Senator Oshinowo as a man of many parts. He said this when he paid the family a condolence visit in Lagos last Friday. We were there. The news about his passing shocked many. He has impacted positively in their lives. The news that Senator Oshinowo, popularly known as Peperito, was like the fall of an Iroko tree in the political space in Lagos. Governor Sanwo-Olu, through a press release by his chief press secretary that Monday, 15th of June, described the senator's death as shocking. In company of the All Progressives Congress Lagos chairman, members of House of Representatives and State House of Assembly, among other party chieftains, and his deputy, Obafemi Hamzat, Governor Sanwo-Olu paid a visit to the Oshinowo family in their Lagos home. The governor, who spoke on behalf of all the sympathizers, said his death comes at a time when the state and indeed the entire nation had just started benefiting from his wealth of political and administrative experience.
A man that has stood tall in our entire political journey in the last 21 years. He's a man personally that I've come to respect, on all his political trajectory. He's a strong and a very big builder. He's a man that is completely detribalized, and we're indeed saddened. But we hold solace in the comfort that he has lived a good man. He has lived a fulfilled man.
Governor Sanwo-Olu wants people to emulate the late senator who wore many caps when he was alive. He described him as a core party man, staunch Muslim, and a good father to his children.
Looking back and seeing all of the things he has done with us, one cannot but thank Almighty Allah for his life. Though very untimely, very, very unexpected, but we'll continue to give thanks and we'll continue to give glory that he's been able to put his hand in the stand of time. Looking back, he's got very lovely children, all of them medical doctors. We've seen that he's also traversed not just as a political icon, but he's been a father to all.
You will take us away without notice.
Late Senator Oshinowo, representing Lagos East Senatorial District at the Upper Legislative Chamber of the National Assembly, was aged 64. Lagos is the most economically active and socially diverse state in Nigeria. This makes governing the state a daunting task. Deputy Governor Obafemi Hamzat speaks on the level of infrastructure development in the last 1 year. Have a listen. Lagos, one of the fastest growing cities and one of the most populous urban areas in the world, has been a frontline economic hub and a major financial center for all of Africa. The mega city has the fourth largest gross domestic product (GDP) in Africa and houses one of the largest and busiest seaports on the continent. Since the return to democracy in Nigeria in 1999, the state has witnessed tremendous infrastructure development. Successive governments have continued with a developmental master plan aimed at making the city the #1 on the continent. This is the progressive path Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has been towing in the last 1 year, with his themes agenda, which stands for traffic management and transportation, health and environment, education and technology, making Lagos a 21st century economy, entertainment and tourism, security and good governance as the policy thrust of his administration. Having a trusted and capable deputy in the person of Dr. Kadiri Obafemi Hamzat, an accomplished academic and a technocrat of proven ability, is definitely oil in the wheel of the state infrastructure advancement. Dr. Hamzat has been in the public service since 2005. He doubles as the State Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure. Two months into the administration, the Deputy Governor Obafemi Hamzat got to work. He defied the rain to inspect Hamad Memorial Muslim Nursery and Primary School in Agege and Maryland Nursery and Primary School, among other schools, in a bid to actualize Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's plans to introduce measures to address issues concerning students, teachers, and school facilities.
Is to see for ourselves some of our schools that we don't think should be in the right state. So basically, we're here and we are going to somewhere else. It's not just this school. So we are choosing schools that are in bad shapes.
He flagged off the resumption of construction of Lagos-Badagry Expressway 10 years after its commencement. A section of the expressway has been opened for public use since December 2019, as promised by Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in June last year.
The usage of the road, so for it to be expanded to 10 lanes. And we pray that all those that will fly it will drive safely and arrive at their destination very well.
Deputy Governor Obafemi Hamzat speaks more on infrastructure development in the last 1 year. He highlighted some of the state's achievements and the continuous quest to making Lagos State a 21st century megacity. In October 2019, Governor Sanwo-Olu met with 8 major construction companies in a bid to begin massive rehabilitation of roads in the state.
At that time, we were in the rainy season, and we know that from history, when you actually go to site, you probably lose 30 to 40% of the materials. So you lose money. But at the same time, we cannot fold our hands and say, oh, because it's raining, we won't do the road. So we will do roads. So that we now call major contractors that are working in the state and said, okay, we've always done that before, so it's not new. How do we work together to make sure that majority of these roads are not left unattended? And because of also the financial situation, it's not that the state has a lot of money. So go and mobilize the site, then we find a way to work out the payment. And that was what we did. So roads like the Mile 2 or Jota, roads like Ikorodu, And so many roads like Babs Anima Shang, and so many others like that. Let's find a way to attack them, give people relief, even though we are not paying immediately. So we call contractors that have been working with state for so long that they understand our chemistry, so we know that we can pay, but we might not be able to pay at that time. So these are the major roads that are bottleneck for people. Let's go and solve. So, and that's what has happened.
The deputy governor also explained how Lagos has been coping with the COVID-19 pandemic and efforts to boosting infrastructure development in the state.
During the time that we locked down, we cannot exempt the construction workers because they also need to move, they work together. It's difficult at that time to maintain social distance because, again, at that time, nobody really knows everything about this virus. We are just learning. But now they are back to site, if you notice. I was at Penn Cinema when they launched the biggest beam. It's a 35-meter beam. 35 meters will be about 10 stories or 9 stories if you stand it vertically. So, and those are the biggest ones that we want to make sure that before rain starts heavily, if you launch the beam, the rest will be easier. And because we still want to target that we can finish that construction by, say, September ending, thereabout. So we're happy that that is going on. All the others are moving, but also because they're also getting materials from even outside Nigeria. So for example, some of the post-tensioning, the rod that is used to tension the bridge is not something you get here. So some of it, because of COVID, of course, is delayed. Instead of 6 weeks, it's now probably 10 weeks. But we are still hoping that we'll be able to put everything together and maintain the same timeline. So everything, the workers are there now, they're working, and we just hope that we will not have to have a need for another lockdown or anything like that. But if we continue at this pace, I think we'll be on target.
Obafemi Hamzat also shed more light on the Lagos-Badagry Expressway, the Blue Line Rail project, and the proposed 4th mainland bridge.
Basically, we are moving. As you notice, the road in front of Trade Fair is now completed, it's now passable, and therefore, but remember, it's 10 lanes, so it's huge, and it's also a live environment. It's not a virgin area where you can just continue going. You have to worry about when do you move goods so that you don't disturb people's traffic, and it's one of the major roads that we have from people coming from that axis and the rest. So planning all those is always a challenge, but it's moving well. They've passed Trade Fair, and like I said, by November, December, hopefully we'll be able to get to Lasso Gate. So if we're able to achieve that, that means we've moved about 9-10 kilometers times 10, that's theoretically 100 kilometers. So then we now have to find a way to move from Lasso Gate all the way to Okokomaiko. But for me, if we're able to do that in November, December, we've done well, it's on target, and then the next one will progress next year, given what the budget talks about. Those are huge projects that ordinarily will not be embarked upon by sub-sovereign. If you look at the rest of the world, no sub-sovereign, but it is what it is. We've decided to embark on it. It's a money guzzler. They are a huge project that takes a lot of money. So part of what we are trying to do now is to also get funding from outside. You understand? So we are talking to AFC, we are talking to everybody. And it's ongoing, it's going well. We've not signed because these negotiations are usually very tough. Lagos State has expended a lot of money, so we want to also get value and put that in as equity. But it's going well. As you can see, we've also, so the last bridge crossing has been done. So hopefully what is now left is to build the station at Marina. It's on water, so it's going to be another challenging one. But they've designed it now. They've done all the surveys. Everything seems okay. It's about money. So what we are hoping for before COVID, and our resources also went down, is to make sure that we get external funding also, so that we are not just the only one. So what has happened is that the Western financiers don't fund rail in this part of the world for some reason. But they've seen that we have our skin in the game. They've seen what we've expended. They've seen that we are serious about it. They've seen they can physically say things. Therefore, it's now generating interest to say, okay, let's go and put in the money. This project has started, it's about ending. So if we're able to put that together quickly, again, I mean, people can travel, but we're doing all these things online. If by the time we're able to sign that, we'll be able to inject real money quickly, rather than tranches of 4 billion, 3 billion here and there. So if you can get them huge money, then the contractor can go and finalize everything. The 4-main line bridge is ongoing. So there are about 8 companies or so now that has qualified for the next phase. Initially a whole lot, about 34 or so of all of them came in to show interest. It's a consortium of various companies. So 8 has now qualified. So we are going ahead. It's transparent. We put in outside consultants, to not just government. We bring in private people to do the evaluation to make sure that it's transparent and everything. So we are, and one thing we've seen also is that they are collapsing. So we see a lot of Chinese companies coming together. We see a lot of Spanish companies coming together, and some Nigerian companies also coming together. So we can't do this thing alone, which is good. So from that 40-something, it's now about 8 companies. So we are going as scheduled, because these things follow format. So you must do your procurement, you must do your RFP, request for proposals, you must do all those things. And they must also see the transport modeling, which we are funding. We must fund that to say, okay, this is the traffic. This is the traffic that's expected, so that they know that when they put in their money, they can get their resources back, which goes into their own financial model. So that's what we are doing, but we have to redo the environmental impact analysis. The one we did before is old. The environment has changed. A lot of things has happened. So that we are now trying to procure. Hopefully when we finish that matches together with whoever, 1 or 2 that comes first, and then we can get the funding. But it's going well. It's going well.
He talked about government's plans for inner city roads and the philosophy behind the junction's improvement and collapse of some roundabouts in the state.
Part of the strategy of government is to also use our public works. We are challenged by having engineers that really might not be able to complete a road, because we can't keep giving this thing as contract. So our Ministry of Work must be like a teaching hospital. Imagine a teaching hospital where you bring in all consultants to come and do operations. How do you train your doctors? So growing from level 10 to whatever they get to. So the same thing. So one of the things that we've done is those 116 roads that we said we are doing. Okay, so those 116 roads. Well, what we did is so because we also want private sector, indigenous contractor to also do that. So the hydraulic structures, the drains, all those things that has to do with water movement. So we gave it out to them. Okay, you go and do this. Then public works will go and do the blinding, they come and do the asphalting and all the rest. So that is ongoing now. And so the essence, again, like we said, is to make sure that engineers level 10, level 12 are actually in charge of everything. It's also to make sure that people see the process of doing everything. So you cannot be an engineer and not understand what goes into a complete road. You understand? So we are matching that, and that's why we are getting engineers. We form a team of engineers from Ministry of Works and from Public Works, so that they are able to work together to deliver this road. So it serves us the purpose. It's technically easier for us to do because it's like a direct labor, even though we get external contractors to do the hydraulic structures. But it makes it easier for us to do much more road. Now, the limit is you can't use that approach for, say, Abaronje Road, for example, in the Jegun side. You can't do that for Ojeododo. They have to be newly rehabilitated, newly done. But the ones that fall into those categories, we think it's better for us to use that approach. If you look around the world, roundabouts came about during colonization. So the British like roundabouts. So for example, you don't see roundabouts in America. They don't believe. So it's a philosophical thing. However, in a city that is more than 8 million with our size, roundabouts don't work. So the essence of roundabout is to slow traffic down so that you can redistribute. But when the volume is high, so somebody is coming from here, it causes enormous amount of backlog because of queuing theory. So the idea is, why don't we signalize instead of roundabout? Expand so that, and that's what's going on. That's the basic philosophy. Roundabouts in a huge state like ours. When I say huge, I don't mean land size. I mean number of vehicles. So we have about 212 vehicles per kilometer in this state. That's huge, humongous. So with roundabout and you slow people down, it causes, because you are supposed to be moving. But if there is signalization, I know I'm moving and you are stopping, that's different. But because of queuing theory, it backs up. So that's the essence. So we are getting rid of the roundabout as much as possible. I think Maryland is completed. It looks okay to me. Studies will show. We did a lot of modeling to make sure that, so you can model the effect before and after. Our model shows that it will increase the rate of traffic flow across the state. And that's where we are going. So one of the things we are doing is to make sure that let's use more signalization because you can control it. And hopefully with time, we will get sensors that actually allows, so you know in other parts of the world, you have sensors that allow commercial vehicles to move more. So we are going around the state to make sure that we remove all those bottlenecks.
He also reviewed what the state is doing differently in the education sector and the strategy taken to rejuvenate the primary and secondary schools in Lagos State.
We are also building more schools. One of the things we have realized is, so I visited a school in Lagos Island. There are 7 children in the class, 7. And so I said, okay, is it just today? And the teacher said, no, it's the way it is. So it means then that there are certain areas we have less number of students per classroom, and in some areas, huge numbers. So which means that our data needs to get better. Where should we build more? So that instead of building in this area, maybe we should be building in another area. So that data is going on now. We'll synchronize it and be able to build where we need it. Not necessarily just building per local government and so on and so forth, so that we actually use that to accommodate. Then the other thing we also notice is that the placement of our teachers. So a teacher lives in the corridor and he teaches in motion. It takes forever to get to school. So we are also looking at how do we align that? How humanly possible, how do we put them closer to where they live? Where feasible. Where it's not feasible, is it possible for us to build something near the area so that people can stay there Monday to Friday, and something like that. And then of course, COVID has shown us that we must digitize our schools so that we can teach online and so on. So those are the various sectors that are going on in the education sector, and it's going to take us a few months, years to actually get all these things done. But we are starting.
Obafemi Hamzat also described how great it is working with Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu in the journey for a greater Lagos.
He's an intelligent man, and he listens a lot to different ideas. He's calm, and he's a great guy. And the reality is that, look, if the essence is delivering services, the job is too much for 1, 2, 3 people. That's why you have commissioners. That's why you have PS. Because the reality is no human being, no single person can do this job. So we understand, and the essence for us is how do we service the people of Lagos? How do we take this state to a place where we can all, 20, 30 years time when we are all retired, say, well, I was part of this process. So if that's the case, of course, that's what we discuss every day. What do we do here? So different ideas bring it. So it's excellent. To keep safe and maintain social distance, essentially what we're now going through in our lives now. And it's a phase that I'm sure will come to pass. And then we are Lagosians, so we are tough. I'm sure we'll do well. So I just want to thank everybody for working with the state government to make sure that we observe the rules and the guidelines. I know it's tough for us. Businesses have been shut and so on, but we will come back. We'll come back healthier and better. We are lucky in this part of the world that even though we've lost some people, but we are seeing what is happening in other jurisdictions. So let's just maintain that so that we can all be at peace with ourselves.
Infrastructure advancement has been one of the most integral parts of the Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's administration in the last 1 year. And it is obvious that the government is not slowing down its momentum of making Lagos a 21st century state and a destination of choice for investment in Africa.